Ancient history encompasses the period from the emergence of the earliest recorded civilizations, around 3500 BCE, to the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD. This era, stretching over thousands of years, marks the development of human societies, cultures, and political structures that laid the foundation for modern civilization. During this time, humanity saw the rise of complex societies, the invention of writing, the establishment of laws, and the creation of monumental architecture. It was an age of empires, philosophers, and great military leaders, whose legacies continue to influence the world today. This video will consist of an assortment of facts from a variety of these different time periods. Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. Mesopotamia, located in the Fertile Crescent between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, modern-day Iraq, is often referred to as the cradle of civilization because it was home to some of the earliest and most influential human societies. This region saw the birth of urbanization, writing, and complex institutions that laid the foundation for future civilizations. Mesopotamia's contributions to human history are vast, encompassing advancements in law, architecture, religion, and governance. The Sumerians, who settled in southern Mesopotamia around 3500 BCE, are credited with establishing some of the world's first cities, such as Ur, Uruk, and Eridu. These cities were not only political and economic centers, but also hubs of religious and cultural life. Sumerian cities were characterized by their advanced urban planning, with streets, marketplaces, residential areas, and large public buildings. The cities were often centered around a temple complex, which was both a religious and administrative center. One of the most significant contributions of the Sumerians was the invention of cuneiform, one of the earliest known systems of writing. Initially developed for record-keeping, cuneiform evolved into a complex script used for a variety of purposes, including literature, legal codes, and religious texts. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest known literary works, was written in cuneiform. Sumerians also built monumental structures known as ziggurats, which were massive terraced pyramids with temples at their summits. These structures served as the focal point of religious worship in the city, dedicated to the gods who were believed to reside in the heavens. The ziggurat of Ur is one of the most famous examples, symbolizing the connection between the divine and the earthly. Following the decline of the Sumerian city-states, Babylon emerged as a dominant power in Mesopotamia under the leadership of King Hammurabi, 1792 to 1750 BCE. One of Hammurabi's most enduring legacies is the Code of Hammurabi, one of the earliest and most complete written legal codes. This code, inscribed on a stele, consisted of 282 laws that addressed various aspects of daily life, including trade, property rights, family relations, and criminal justice. The principle of an eye for an eye is famously associated with Hammurabi's code, reflecting the law's emphasis on retribution and justice. Hammurabi's code was significant not only for its comprehensiveness, but also for its role in establishing the idea that the law should be codified and accessible to all. It laid the groundwork for future legal systems by introducing concepts of justice, fairness, and the protection of rights. The code also reinforced the idea that the king was responsible for maintaining order and justice in society, a notion that would influence governance in later civilizations. The Assyrians and Neo-Babylonians were two powerful empires that followed the Babylonian era, each contributing uniquely to the development of warfare, architecture, and culture in Mesopotamia. The Assyrians were known for their military prowess and innovations in warfare. They developed a highly organized and disciplined army, incorporating iron weapons, cavalry units, and siege tactics. The Assyrian Empire expanded rapidly, conquering vast territories across the Near East, and establishing one of the first true empires in history. The Assyrians were also skilled builders, constructing grand palaces and temples adorned with intricate reliefs and sculptures. The city of Nineveh, with its impressive walls and the grand palace of King Sennacherib, is one of the most famous examples of Assyrian architectural achievement. Despite their reputation for brutality and warfare, the Assyrians were also patrons of the arts and scholarship. The Library of Ashurbanipal in Nineveh was one of the most important centers of learning in the ancient world, preserving a vast collection of texts, including the Epic of Gilgamesh. The Neo-Babylonian Empire, under King Nebuchadnezzar II, 605 to 562 BCE, is known for its cultural and architectural achievement. Nebuchadnezzar sought to revive the glories of ancient Babylon, leading to a period of artistic and cultural flourishing. The most famous architectural project of this period was the rebuilding of Babylon, including the construction of the Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, though their existence is debated, and the Grand Ishtar Gate, adorned with glazed brick reliefs of dragons and bulls. The Neo-Babylonians made significant advances in astronomy and mathematics. Babylonian scholars developed a sophisticated understanding of celestial movements, which influenced later Greek and Islamic astronomy. Mesopotamia's rich history, marked by the innovations of the Sumerians, the legal codes of Babylon, and the military and cultural achievements of the Assyrians and Neo-Babylonians, had a profound impact on the development of human civilization. The legacies of these ancient peoples continue to be felt in various aspects of modern society, from law and governance to literature and science. Ancient Egypt, one of the world's most enduring and influential civilizations, thrived along the Nile River for over 3 millennia. Its rich culture, monumental architecture, and sophisticated religious beliefs left a lasting legacy that continues to captivate people today. The civilization is traditionally divided into 3 major periods: the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom, each marked by unique developments in governance, art, and religion. The Old Kingdom, 2686 to 2181 BCE, is often referred to as the Age of the Pyramids because of the monumental construction projects undertaken during this period. Pharaohs during the Old Kingdom were considered divine rulers, the living embodiment, the god Horus, and the intermediaries between the gods and the people. The stability and prosperity of the kingdom were believed to depend on the pharaoh's ability to maintain Ma'at, the concept of cosmic order and balance. The most famous pyramids, located at Giza, were built during the 4th dynasty. The Great Pyramid, constructed for Pharaoh Khufu, also known as Cheops, is the largest and most iconic of these structures. It was originally 146 meters tall and constructed with over 2 million blocks of limestone. The pyramids served as tombs for the pharaohs, designed to protect their bodies and ensure their safe passage to the afterlife. The construction of the pyramids involved highly organized labor, advanced engineering, and careful planning. Workers were not slaves as once believed, but skilled laborers who were well fed and housed. The pyramids were aligned with the stars, reflecting the Egyptians' deep religious and astronomical knowledge. Adjacent to the pyramids, the Great Sphinx of Giza, a colossal limestone statue with the body of a lion and the head of a pharaoh, likely Khafre, symbolizes the power and wisdom of the pharaohs and serves as a guardian of the Giza Plateau. Following the Old Kingdom, Egypt entered a period of decline known as the First Intermediate Period. However, it was revived during the Middle Kingdom, 2055 to 1650 BCE, which was later followed by the New Kingdom, 1550 to 1070 BCE, often considered the height of ancient Egyptian power and culture. The Middle Kingdom is noted for its renaissance in art and literature. Sculptures became more realistic, portraying pharaohs and nobles with individual characteristics rather than idealized forms. Literature flourished with works like the Tale of Sinuhe, which reflects themes of loyalty and morality. Pharaohs during this period, such as Mentuhotep II, centralized power, re-established stability, and expanded Egypt's borders. They also focused on building projects, including temples and fortifications. There was a growing emphasis on personal piety and the belief that all individuals, not just the pharaoh, could attain the afterlife, provided they lived justly. The New Kingdom was Egypt's imperial age, during which it expanded its territory to its greatest extent, reaching into Nubia, the Levant, and beyond. Pharaohs like Thutmose III were great military leaders who brought immense wealth to Egypt. One of Egypt's most remarkable rulers, Hatshepsut, was a female pharaoh who reigned during the 18th dynasty. She is known for her extensive building projects, including her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahri, and for promoting trade expeditions such as the famous voyage to Punt. Also known as Ramses the Great, he ruled for 66 years and is often regarded as Egypt's most powerful pharaoh. Ramses II is famous for his military campaigns, particularly the Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites, and for his monumental construction projects, including the temples at Abu Simbel. The New Kingdom saw the construction of grand temples, such as Karnak and Luxor, and the development of more intricate tombs in the Valley of the Kings, where pharaohs like Tutankhamun were buried. Art from this period became more dynamic, depicting scenes of daily life, religious rituals, and the pharaoh's divine connections. Religion was central to Egyptian life, with a complex pantheon of gods, elaborate rituals, and a strong belief in the afterlife. The Egyptians worshipped a vast array of gods, each representing different aspects of life and nature. Key gods included Osiris, the god of the afterlife and resurrection. Osiris was central to Egyptian beliefs about death and the afterlife. He was often depicted as a mummified king, and his story of death and rebirth symbolized the cycle of life. Isis, Osiris's wife, Isis was the goddess of magic and motherhood. She was venerated as the ideal mother and wife and played a key role in the myths of resurrection. Ra, the sun god Ra, was considered the most important deity. He was believed to travel through the sky by day and the underworld by night, where he fought the forces of chaos. Anubis, the god of mummification and the protector of the dead, Anubis was depicted as a jackal-headed deity. He was believed to guide souls to the afterlife and oversee the weighing of the heart ceremony, which determined one's fate in the afterlife. The afterlife was a crucial aspect of Egyptian religion. The Egyptians believed in a journey to the afterlife, where the soul would face judgment before Osiris. The heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of Ma'at, representing truth and justice. The heart was lighter, the soul was granted eternal life in the field of reeds. If heavier, it was devoured by the monster Ammit. To ensure the survival of the soul, the body had to be preserved through mummification. The process involved removing internal organs, drying the body with natron, type of salt, and wrapping it in linen. The mummified body was then placed in a sarcophagus within a tomb, accompanied by goods, amulets, and texts like the Book of the Dead, which contained spells to guide the deceased through the afterlife. Temples were not only places of worship, but also the centers of economic and administrative power. Priests conducted daily rituals to honor the gods and ensure the continuation of Ma'at. Festivals, offerings, and prayers were integral to maintaining the favor of the gods and the balance of the universe. Ancient Egypt's contributions to civilization are profound, from the construction of the pyramids and monumental temples to the development of sophisticated religious beliefs and practices. The achievements of pharaohs, the artistry of its people, and the complexity of its religious system continue to influence and inspire the modern world. Through their reverence for the gods, their advances in architecture and art, and their belief in the afterlife, the ancient Egyptians created a culture that remains one of the most iconic and enduring in human history. The Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization, was one of the world's earliest urban cultures, flourishing around 3300 to 1300 BCE in what is now modern-day Pakistan and northwest India. It was contemporary with other ancient civilizations such as Mesopotamia and Egypt, and is noted for its advanced urban planning, sophisticated technology, and far-reaching trade network. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro are the two most well-known cities of the Indus Valley Civilization. These cities exemplify the remarkable urban planning and technological prowess of the Harappan people. Both Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro were laid out on a precise grid system, with streets arranged in a north-south and east-west orientation. This level of planning indicates a highly organized society with advanced knowledge of urban design. The cities were constructed using standardized baked bricks, suggesting a controlled and uniform construction process. Buildings included residential areas, public baths, granaries, and possibly places of worship. The Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro is one of the most famous structures from the Indus Valley. It was a large, watertight pool likely used for ritual bathing, reflecting the importance of water in the civilization's social and religious practices. One of the most impressive features of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro was their advanced drainage and sanitation systems. Almost every house was connected to a sophisticated underground sewer system that removed wastewater from the city. The drainage channels were covered with bricks, indicating an awareness of hygiene and a commitment to public health. These drains were regularly cleaned, demonstrating a well-organized civic administration. The cities also had well-planned water supply systems, with wells strategically placed to provide water to households and public areas. The Indus Valley civilization was part of an extensive trade network that reached as far as Mesopotamia, Central Asia, and the Arabian Peninsula. This is evidenced by the discovery of Indus Valley seals, pottery, and other goods in these regions. The Harappans traded a variety of goods, including cotton textiles, beads, pottery, metals, and precious stones. They also imported materials such as lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, indicating a vast and sophisticated trade network. The use of standardized weights and measures in trade suggests a highly organized economy and a complex understanding of mathematics. Despite its achievements, the Indus Valley civilization mysteriously declined around 1900 BCE. The reasons for this decline remain a subject of debate among historians and archaeologists, with several theories proposed. One of the most widely accepted theories is that climate change, particularly the shifting of the monsoon patterns, led to the decline of the Indus Valley civilization. A decrease in rainfall could have led to droughts, affecting agriculture and water supply. One of the most widely accepted theories is that climate change, particularly the shifting of the monsoon patterns, led to the decline of the Indus Valley civilization. A decrease in rainfall could have led to droughts, affecting agriculture and water supply. The decline of trade with Mesopotamia, possibly due to the collapse of the Akkadian Empire and other regional disruptions, could have weakened the economy of the Indus Valley. This decline in trade would have reduced the flow of resources and wealth, contributing to the civilization's downfall. Possible internal economic collapse, driven by overexploitation of resources, could have also contributed to the decline. The deforestation of the surrounding areas for brickmaking and fuel may have led to soil degradation and agricultural decline. An older and now largely discredited theory suggested that the civilization was overrun by Indo-Aryan migrants who invaded the region. However, there is little archaeological evidence to support a violent invasion, and modern scholarship tends to favor gradual migration and cultural assimilation rather than outright conquest. It is possible that the inhabitants of the Indus Valley gradually migrated eastward toward the Ganges Plain, where they may have integrated with other cultures, leading to the decline of urban centers like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. Some scholars propose that social unrest, possibly due to growing inequality or political instability, may have weakened the internal structure of the civilization, leading to its decline. There is also evidence that the civilization gradually became more decentralized, with smaller, less urbanized communities replacing the large cities. This could indicate a shift in political and economic structures, leading to the eventual dissolution of the highly organized urban society. The Indus Valley civilization remains one of the most enigmatic ancient cultures due to its advanced urban planning, sophisticated technology, and extensive trade network. However, its mysterious decline has left many questions unanswered, making it a fascinating subject for continued study and exploration. Despite its disappearance, the legacy of the Indus Valley civilization continues to be felt, particularly in the development of subsequent South Asian cultures and urban planning principles. Ancient China, with its rich history spanning thousands of years, saw the rise and fall of powerful dynasties that laid the foundations for Chinese civilization. Xia, Shang, and Zhou dynasties were among the earliest and most influential, each contributing significantly to the development of Chinese culture, governance, and technology. First Dynasty, 2070 to 1600 BCE. The Xia dynasty is traditionally considered the first dynasty in Chinese history, although its existence remains partly legendary due to the lack of definitive archaeological evidence. According to Chinese tradition, the Xia was founded by Yu the Great, who is celebrated for his efforts in controlling the floods of the Yellow River, which allowed for the establishment of stable agricultural society. The Xia period is thought to have marked the transition from Neolithic cultures to a more complex society with emerging social hierarchy, early forms of governance, and rudimentary writing system. The Xia dynasty set the stage for the subsequent Shang dynasty, which is more concretely evidenced in the archaeological record. The Shang dynasty, 1600 to 1046 BCE. The concept of the mandate of heaven, although fully developed during the Zhou dynasty, is believed to have roots in the Shang dynasty. It was a crucial doctrine that justified the rule of the king, known as the Son of Heaven, by divine approval. The mandate of heaven was used to legitimize the ruler's authority and explain the rise and fall of dynasties, suggesting that heaven would only support a just and virtuous ruler. Concept of the mandate of heaven, although fully developed during the Zhou dynasty, is believed to have roots in the Shang dynasty. It was a crucial doctrine that justified the rule of the king, known as the Son of Heaven, by divine approval. Mandate of heaven was used to legitimize the ruler's authority and explain the rise and fall of dynasties, suggesting that heaven would only support a just and virtuous ruler. The Shang dynasty is also renowned for its advances in bronze casting. The Shang people produced a variety of bronze artifacts, including ritual vessels, weapons, and tools. These bronze items were often elaborately decorated with intricate designs and inscriptions, reflecting the high level of craftsmanship achieved during this period. The Shang religion was polytheistic, the strong emphasis on ancestor worship. The Shang kings were seen as intermediaries between the gods and the people, and they performed elaborate rituals to communicate with the divine. The practice of oracle bone divination was central to Shang religious life, providing guidance on important decisions such as warfare and agriculture. The Zhou dynasty, 1046–256 BCE. The Zhou dynasty formalized the mandate of heaven as a central political doctrine. The Zhou rulers claimed that they had been granted the mandate of heaven to overthrow the Shang dynasty due to the latter's moral corruption. This concept became a cornerstone of Chinese political philosophy, influencing the governance of subsequent dynasties. It suggested that the legitimacy of a ruler depended on their virtue and ability to maintain harmony and order. If a ruler became despotic or failed to govern justly, it was believed that they would lose the mandate, leading to their downfall and replacement by a more worthy leader. The Zhou dynasty implemented a feudal system, dividing the empire into several states, ruled by lords who were loyal to the Zhou king. These feudal states had relative autonomy, but were expected to provide military support and tribute to the central government. Over time, however, this system led to the weakening of central authority and the rise of powerful regional lords, culminating in the Warring States period. As the Zhou dynasty weakened, China entered the Warring States period, a time of intense conflict and political fragmentation. Despite the turmoil, this period was also a time of significant intellectual and cultural development, leading to the rise of major philosophical schools. Confucianism, founded by Confucius, Kongfuzi, during the latter part of the Zhou dynasty, became one of the most influential philosophies in Chinese history. Confucianism emphasized the importance of morality, social harmony, and the proper conduct of individuals within society. It advocated for a hierarchical but benevolent social order where rulers and officials should lead by example and care for their subjects as a father would for his children. Confucianism placed great importance on education, filial piety, and respect for tradition. Taoism, or Taoism, attributed to Laozi, emerged as a counterbalance to Confucianism, focusing on living in harmony with the Tao, the Way, fundamental principle underlying the universe. Taoism emphasized simplicity, spontaneity, and non-interference with the natural order. It encouraged individuals to seek balance in their lives and to cultivate inner peace through practices such as meditation and mindfulness. Taoism also had a significant impact on Chinese art, literature, and medicine. Another important philosophical school that developed during the Zhou dynasty, particularly in the Warring States period, was legalism. Legalism advocated for strict laws and harsh punishments to maintain order and control in society. It emphasized the power of the ruler and the need for a strong, centralized state to enforce discipline. Legalism would later influence the governance of the Qin dynasty, which followed the Zhou. The Qin and Han Dynasties were two of the most influential periods in Chinese history, marking the transition from the chaotic Warring States period to a unified and stable empire that laid the foundation for much of China's future development. These dynasties contributed to the consolidation of Chinese culture, governance, and territorial expansion. Unification of China, 221 BCE. Qin Shi Huangdi, originally known as Ying Zheng, was the king of the state of Qin during the Warring States period. In 221 BCE, after defeating the other 6 major states, he proclaimed himself the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huangdi. This marked the first time that China was unified under a centralized imperial rule. Qin Shi Huangdi implemented sweeping reforms to consolidate his power and unify the empire. He standardized weights, measures, and currency, and established a uniform writing system which helped to integrate the diverse cultures and economies of the empire. He also reorganized the administrative divisions of the empire, placing the old feudal states with centrally controlled provinces and counties governed by appointed officials. Qin Shi Huangdi initiated the construction of the Great Wall of China to protect the northern borders of his empire from invasions by nomadic tribes such as the Xiongnu. The Great Wall was not a single continuous wall, but rather a series of fortifications, including walls, trenches, and watchtowers, connected over time. The construction involved the forced labor of hundreds of thousands of workers, many of whom perished during the building process. While earlier walls had been built by individual states, Qin Shi Huangdi's project significantly expanded and connected these structures. The Great Wall became a symbol of China's strength and determination to defend its sovereignty, and it continued to be expanded and maintained by subsequent dynasties. One of the most remarkable archaeological discoveries in history, the Terracotta Army was created to accompany Qin Shi Huangdi in the afterlife. Discovered in 1974 near the city of Xi'an, the mausoleum complex contains thousands of life-sized terracotta soldiers, horses, and chariots, each with unique features and expressions. The Terracotta Army was intended to protect the emperor in the afterlife and demonstrate his power and authority. The figures were arranged in military formations, reflecting the emperor's achievements in unifying China and his desire to maintain control even in death. The sheer scale and detail of the Terracotta Army highlight the extraordinary resources and craftsmanship available during Qin Shi Huangdi's reign. The Han Dynasty, 206 BCE to 220 CE, was instrumental in establishing and expanding the Silk Road, a vast network of trade routes that connected China with Central Asia, the Middle East, and even parts of Europe. The Silk Road facilitated the exchange of goods, culture, and ideas between the East and West, profoundly influencing the development of all regions involved. Chinese silk, a highly prized commodity, was one of the main goods traded along the Silk Road, giving the route its name. In return, China imported luxury items such as glassware, precious stones, and spices. The Silk Road also facilitated the spread of Buddhism into China from India, along with other cultural, technological, and intellectual exchanges. During the Han Dynasty, especially under Emperor Wu, Han Wudi, 41 to 87 BCE, Confucianism was adopted as the official state philosophy. This marked a significant shift from the legalist principles that had dominated during the Qin dynasty. Confucianism, with its emphasis on moral conduct, social harmony, and respect for authority, became the guiding ideology for governance and education in China. Confucian ideals influenced the development of a merit-based civil service system, where officials were selected based on their knowledge of Confucian texts and principles. The Han Dynasty established the imperial examination system, which became a key institution in Chinese governance for centuries. Confucianism also reinforced the hierarchical structure of society, promoting filial piety and loyalty to the emperor as essential virtues. The Han Dynasty was a period of significant scientific and technological advancement. Some of the most notable contributions include papermaking. The invention of paper, traditionally attributed to Kai Lun in 105 CE, revolutionized the way information was recorded and disseminated. Paper became the primary medium for writing and documentation, replacing the more cumbersome bamboo slips and silk. Seismograph. The Chinese scientist Zhang Heng developed one of the world's earliest seismographs, an instrument used to detect and measure earthquakes. His invention demonstrated the advanced understanding of natural phenomena in Han China. Advances in astronomy and medicine. The Han Dynasty saw significant developments in astronomy, with accurate observations of celestial events and the creation of star maps. In medicine, Han scholars compiled texts such as the Huangdi Neijing, the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Medicine, which became foundational works in traditional Chinese medicine. Agricultural tools and techniques. The Han Dynasty also introduced innovations in agriculture, including the iron plow and improved irrigation technique. These advancements increased agricultural productivity, supporting population growth and the expansion of the empire. The Qin and Han Dynasties were pivotal in shaping the course of Chinese history. Qin Shi Huangdi's unification of China, construction of the Great Wall, and creation of the Terracotta Army established a legacy of centralized power and monumental achievement. The Han Dynasty built upon this foundation, expanding China's influence through the Silk Road, promoting Confucianism as the state philosophy, and making significant advances in science and technology. These dynasties not only solidified China's territorial and cultural identity, but also laid the groundwork for its future as one of the world's great civilizations. The Warring States period, 475 to 221 BCE, was a time of intense conflict and political fragmentation in ancient China, following the relatively peaceful spring and autumn period. During this era, 7 major states, Qi, Chu, Yan, Zhou, Wei, and Qin, and several smaller ones vied for dominance, leading to significant advancements in military strategy, technology, and statecraft. The period ultimately culminated in the unification of China under the Qin dynasty, but the military innovations developed during these centuries had a profound and lasting impact on Chinese warfare. Military innovations. Crossbow, believed to have been invented during the earlier spring and autumn period, became a significant military innovation during the Warring States period. It was one of the most important weapons in ancient Chinese warfare, due to its ability to deliver powerful and accurate shots with relatively little physical strength required from the user. The crossbow was capable of piercing armor at a considerable distance, giving infantry units an advantage over traditionally armed soldiers. Its power and range exceeded that of traditional bows, making it a formidable weapon on the battlefield. During the Warring States period, crossbows were standardized and mass-produced, allowing for their widespread use across armies. The ability to produce and distribute crossbows in large numbers meant that even less experienced soldiers could be effectively armed and trained. The crossbow's trigger mechanism was a crucial advancement, allowing for greater accuracy and control. This innovation made the crossbow easier to aim and fire, which was particularly advantageous in the heat of battle. The crossbow changed the dynamics of Chinese warfare by enabling more effective defensive strategies and allowing smaller forces to hold off larger armies. It also contributed to the increased use of fortifications, as defenders could now strike attackers from a distance with greater lethality. The rise of cavalry prior to the Warring States period, chariots had been the dominant force on the battlefield. However, rough terrain and the need for greater mobility in battle led to the increased use of cavalry. Mounted soldiers provided speed, agility, and the ability to execute rapid maneuvers, making them an essential component of military strategy during this period. The Warring States saw the development of advanced horseback riding skills, including archery from horseback, which allowed cavalry units to engage enemies at a distance while remaining highly mobile. Cavalry units were often used for flanking maneuvers, raids, and pursuing retreating forces. Their ability to move quickly across the battlefield made them invaluable for both offensive and defensive operations. The combination of archery and cavalry led to the emergence of cavalry archers, who could strike with precision while remaining out of reach of enemy infantry. This tactic was particularly effective against slower-moving infantry and chariot forces. The rise of cavalry units changed the way battles were fought, emphasizing speed, flexibility, and the element of surprise. The increased use of cavalry also led to changes in armor and weaponry, as soldiers needed to adapt to the challenges of mounted combat. Fortifications and defensive structures. As the Warring States period progressed, the need for defense against increasingly sophisticated armies led to the construction of more elaborate fortifications. These fortifications were designed to protect against sieges, raids, and prolonged assaults, which became more common as states sought to expand their territory. The construction of massive city walls, often with multiple layers, became a common feature of urban centers during this period. These walls were built using rammed earth, bricks, and stones, and were designed to withstand both direct assaults and prolonged sieges. They often included towers, gates, and moats to further enhance their defensive capabilities. Watchtowers and signal fires were strategically placed along borders and around cities to provide early warning of enemy movements. These structures allowed for rapid communication across large distances, enabling states to mobilize their forces more effectively in response to threats. Trenches and moats were commonly used to slow down and disrupt enemy advances. These defensive structures were often filled with water or other obstacles to make it more difficult for attackers to approach city walls or fortresses. The development of advanced fortifications during the Warring States period made direct assaults on fortified positions more difficult and costly. This led to the increased use of siege tactics, such as blockades and the use of siege engines to breach or bypass these defenses. Classical Greece, 5th to 4th centuries BCE, was a period of immense cultural, political, and intellectual growth, laying the foundations for Western civilization. Central to this era was the rise of the city-states, or polis, plural, polis, each with its own distinct political system, culture, and identity. Among these, Athens and Sparta emerged as the most powerful and influential, representing two very different models of governance and society. The rise of the city-states. The Greek polis, or city-state, was a small, independent community centered around a single city and its surrounding territory. Each polis had its own government, laws, military, and religious practices. The concept of citizenship was crucial, with free male citizens participating in the political life of the polis, contributing to its defense, and engaging in communal decision-making. Greece's mountainous terrain and fragmented landscape contributed to the development of independent city-states rather than a single unified nation. This geography fostered a sense of local identity and autonomy, as travel and communication between regions were difficult. Despite their independence, the Greek city-states shared a common language, religion, and cultural heritage. They participated in shared religious festivals, such as the Olympic Games, and consulted the same oracles, such as the Oracle of Delphi. However, intense rivalry often led to conflict, as seen in the Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta. Athens, located in the region of Attica, is renowned for developing one of the earliest forms of democracy. The Athenian system of government became a model of direct democracy, where citizens had the power to participate directly in decision-making. The foundations of Athenian democracy were laid by leaders like Solon and Cleisthenes. Solon, an early reformer, introduced economic and political reforms in the early 6th century BCE, which included the cancellation of debts and the creation of the Council of 400. Cleisthenes, often called the father of Athenian democracy, introduced further reforms around 508 BCE. He reorganized the citizenry into 10 tribes based on residence rather than kinship, which helped to break the power of aristocratic families and allowed for broader participation in government. The assembly was the central institution of Athenian democracy. It was open to all male citizens over the age of 18 and met regularly to discuss and vote on important issues, including laws, war, and foreign policy. Decisions were made by majority vote, reflecting the will of the people. The assembly was the ultimate authority in the Athenian government, with the power to make decisions that affected all aspects of civic life. Pericles, who led Athens during its Golden Age, c. 461 to 429 BCE, was a prominent statesman and general who played a crucial role in the development and expansion of Athenian democracy. He introduced reforms that increased the power of the assembly and the involvement of citizens in government. Pericles also instituted pay for public officials, which allowed even the poorest citizens to participate in public life without financial hardship. Under Pericles' leadership, Athens became the cultural and intellectual center of Greece. He initiated the construction of the Parthenon on the Acropolis and supported the arts, philosophy, and literature. The period of Pericles' leadership is often seen as the pinnacle of Athenian democracy and culture, with figures like Socrates, Plato, and Sophocles contributing to the city's intellectual and artistic achievements. In contrast to Athens, Sparta, located in the region of Laconia in the Peloponnesus, developed a society focused almost exclusively on military prowess and discipline. Sparta's social structure and way of life were centered around the needs of its army, which was considered the most formidable in Greece. The Spartan government was an oligarchy, ruled by a small group of elites. It was led by two kings who shared power and commanded the army, a council of elders, the Gerousia, and an assembly of male citizens, the Apella. However, unlike the Athenian assembly, the Spartan Apella had limited power, with most decisions made by the Gerousia and the kings. The Agoj was the rigorous education and training program that all male Spartan citizens, known as Spartiates, underwent starting at the age of 7. The program emphasized physical fitness, endurance, discipline, and military skills. Boys were trained to be soldiers from a young age, living in communal barracks and enduring harsh conditions to toughen them for battle. The Agoj also instilled a sense of loyalty to the state and obedience to its laws, ensuring that every Spartiate was fully prepared to serve as a soldier. The Spartan economy and society depended heavily on the Helots, a subjugated population primarily consisting of the original inhabitants of Laconia and Messenia, who were conquered by the Spartans. The Helots were essentially serfs, forced to work the land and provide food for the Spartan state, while the Spartiates focused on military training and governance. The Helots outnumbered the Spartan citizens by a significant margin, which led to a constant fear of rebellion among the Spartan ruling class. As a result, Spartans maintained a strict and brutal control over the Helots, employing a secret police force, Cryptia, to terrorize and eliminate potential threats. This oppressive relationship was a fundamental aspect of Spartan society, highlighting the stark differences between Spartan and Athenian values and governance. Persian Wars, 499 to 449 BCE, were a series of conflicts between the Persian Empire and the Greek city-states that shaped the course of Greek history. These wars were marked by several key battles, where the courage, strategy, and unity of the Greeks played a crucial role in resisting the powerful Persian Empire. The Battle of Marathon, 490 BCE. The Battle of Marathon took place during the first Persian invasion of Greece. The Persian king Darius I sought to punish Athens for supporting the Ionian revolt against Persian rule. Darius sent a fleet across the Aegean Sea, landing at the plain of Marathon, about 26 miles northeast of Athens. The Athenian army, led by the general Miltiades, faced the much larger Persian force. The Athenians had approximately 10,000 hoplites, heavily armed infantry, compared to the Persian force, which was estimated to be around 25,000 to 30,000 strong. Despite being outnumbered, the Athenians executed a brilliant tactical maneuver. Miltiades reinforced the wings of his army, allowing the weaker center to draw in the Persian forces, then encircled them from the sides. This tactic, known as a double envelopment, led to a decisive Athenian victory. The Battle of Marathon was significant for several reasons. The victory at Marathon was a major boost to Greek morale, demonstrating that the Persians could be defeated. The success solidified Athens' leadership among the Greek city-states, eventually leading to its dominance in the Delian League. The legend of the runner Pheidippides, who supposedly ran from Marathon to Athens to deliver the news of victory, is the inspiration for the modern marathon race. The Battle of Thermopylae, 480 BCE. 10 years after the Battle of Marathon, Darius's son, Xerxes I, launched a massive invasion of Greece to avenge his father's defeat. The Greek city-states, led by Sparta and Athens, formed a coalition to resist the invasion. The Greeks chose the narrow pass of Thermopylae in central Greece as the site to make their stand against the advancing Persian army. The Spartan king Leonidas led a small Greek force, including 300 Spartans, 700 Thespians, and other allies, to defend the pass. The narrow terrain of Thermopylae neutralized the Persian numerical advantage, forcing them to attack head-on. For 2 days, the Greek forces held off wave after wave of Persian assaults. However, a local Greek named Ephialtes betrayed the Greeks by revealing a secret mountain path to the Persians, allowing them to outflank the Greek forces. Realizing the dire situation, Leonidas dismissed most of his troops, remaining with his 300 Spartans and a small contingent of other Greeks to fight to the death. The Battle of Thermopylae became a symbol of heroic resistance against overwhelming odds. The sacrifice of Leonidas and his men inspired the Greeks to continue their struggle against Persia. Thermopylae has since been immortalized in literature, art, and film as a quintessential example of bravery. The Battle of Salamis, 480 BCE. Following the fall of Thermopylae, Xerxes' army advanced into central Greece, capturing Athens. The Greek fleet, commanded by the Athenian general Themistocles, retreated to the narrow straits of Salamis, near Athens. Themistocles devised a plan to lure the Persian navy into the narrow waters, where their larger numbers would be a disadvantage. Xerxes, confident of victory, ordered his fleet into the straits of Salamis. Greek ships, smaller and more maneuverable, took advantage of the confined space, attacking the larger, less agile Persian ships. The Greek triremes rammed and boarded the Persian vessels, causing chaos in the Persian ranks. The Persian navy, unable to effectively maneuver or retreat, suffered a crushing defeat, losing a significant portion of its fleet. The Battle of Salamis was the turning point in the Greco-Persian Wars. The Persian navy's defeat forced Xerxes to withdraw most of his forces back to Asia, leaving a smaller contingent behind under General Mardonius. The victory at Salamis preserved Greek independence and marked the beginning of the end for the Persian invasion. The battle demonstrated the importance of naval power in ancient warfare and solidified Athens' role as the leading naval power in Greece, a status it would maintain for much of the 5th century BCE. The Persian Wars were a defining moment in Greek history, demonstrating the resilience and determination of the Greek city-states in the face of a formidable empire. The battles of Marathon, Thermopylae, and Salamis showcased different aspects of Greek military strategy and heroism, and their outcomes had lasting consequences for the development of Western civilization. These victories not only ensured the survival of the Greek city-states, but also set the stage for the cultural and intellectual flourishing of the classical Greek era, particularly in Athens. The Golden Age of Athens, also known as the Classical Period, 5th century BCE, was a time of extraordinary cultural, intellectual, and artistic achievement in the city-state of Athens. Under the leadership of figures like Pericles, Athens became the cultural and intellectual hub of the Greek world, producing some of the most influential works of philosophy, art, drama, and literature in Western history. Philosophy and arts, the works of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Socrates, 470 to 399 BC. Socrates is often considered the father of Western philosophy. Unlike previous philosophers, Socrates focused on ethics and human behavior rather than the natural world. He is best known for his method of questioning, now called the Socratic method, which involves asking probing questions to stimulate critical thinking and illuminate ideas. Socrates did not write any philosophical texts himself. Our knowledge of his ideas comes primarily from the writings of his student Plato. Socrates' emphasis on questioning and dialogue as a path to knowledge laid the groundwork for Western philosophical inquiry. Plato, c. 427 to 347 BCE. Plato was a student of Socrates and the founder of the Academy in Athens, one of the earliest institutions of higher learning in the Western world. Plato's writings, presented as dialogues, explored a wide range of topics, including justice, politics, education, and metaphysics. His most famous work, The Republic, outlines his vision of an ideal society governed by philosopher kings and introduces the allegory of the cave, a powerful metaphor for human ignorance and the pursuit of truth. Plato's theory of forms posits that the material world is a shadow of a higher, unchanging reality, composed of abstract forms or ideas. This concept profoundly influenced later philosophical and theological thought. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BCE. Aristotle, a student of Plato, made significant contributions to a wide array of fields including logic, ethics, politics, biology, and metaphysics. Unlike Plato, Aristotle emphasized empirical observation and the study of the natural world. His works, such as Nicomachean Ethics, Politics, and Metaphysics, laid the foundations for much of Western thought. In ethics, Aristotle introduced the concept of the golden mean, the idea that virtue lies between extremes, and that moral behavior is a balance between deficiency and excess. Aristotle's emphasis on observation and classification of the natural world contributed to the development of the scientific method. The construction of the Parthenon. One of the most iconic symbols of classical Greece, Parthenon was constructed between 447 and 432 BCE on the Acropolis of Athens during the leadership of Pericles. Dedicated to Athena, the city's patron goddess, Parthenon was designed by architects Ictinus and Callicrates, with sculptures by the renowned artist Phidias. The Parthenon epitomizes the Doric order of Greek architecture, known for its simple, powerful columns and harmonious proportions. It was also a symbol of Athenian democracy and the city's dominance in the Greek world. The Parthenon housed a massive statue of Athena and served as a treasury. Its friezes and sculptures depicted scenes from Greek mythology and Athenian civic life, emphasizing the cultural and religious values of the time. The rise of Greek theater. Greek theater emerged from religious festivals, particularly those dedicated to Dionysus, the god of wine, fertility, and theater. The annual Dionysia festival in Athens featured competitions in tragedy and comedy, drawing large audiences. Greek plays were performed in open-air theaters, such as the Theater of Dionysus in Athens. These theaters were built into hillsides, with tiered seating for thousands of spectators, and featured a circular orchestra where the chorus would perform. The actors, all male, wore masks to depict different characters. The epics of Homer. Although traditionally attributed to the 8th century BCE, the epic poems of Homer, the Iliad and the Odyssey, were central to Greek literature and education during the classical period. This epic recounts the events of the Trojan War, focusing on the hero Achilles and the themes of honor, wrath, and the human condition. It explores the complex relationships between gods and mortals and the consequences of pride and hubris. The Odyssey follows the adventures of Odysseus as he attempts to return home after the Trojan War. The epic is a tale of perseverance, cleverness, and the longing for home, the focus on the hero's struggles against both human and divine obstacles. Homer's epics were not only literary masterpieces, but also educational tools that conveyed moral lessons, cultural values, and historical memories. They were recited at festivals and served as a unifying cultural touchstone. Greek world. The Golden Age of Athens was a period of unparalleled cultural and intellectual achievement. The works of philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle laid the foundations for Western thought, while the construction of the Parthenon symbolized the artistic and architectural grandeur of the era. This flourishing of philosophy, arts, drama, and literature during the Golden Age of Athens continues to influence modern culture and thought, underscoring the enduring legacy of classical Greece. Peloponnesian War, 431 to 404 BCE, was a protracted and destructive conflict between the two leading Greek city-states, Athens and Sparta, along with their respective allies. This war reshaped the ancient Greek world and had profound long-term consequences for the Greek city-state. Primary cause of the Peloponnesian War was the growing rivalry between Athens and Sparta, two dominant powers in Greece. Athens had established a powerful maritime empire through the Delian League, while Sparta led the Peloponnesian League, a coalition of land-based city-states. Tensions arose from Athens' expansionist policies and its increasing influence over other Greek city-states, which Sparta and its allies viewed as a threat to their autonomy and security. One of the immediate causes of the war was the Athenian-imposed Megarian decree, which effectively blockaded the city of Megara, a Spartan ally. This economic sanction heightened tensions between Athens and Sparta, contributing to the outbreak of hostilities. Disputes involving Corinth, key Spartan ally, and its colonies also played a significant role in escalating the conflict. Athens' involvement in these disputes, particularly in the Battle of Sabota and the conflict over Corfu, further strained relations with Sparta. Major battles of the Peloponnesian War. The Siege of Plataea, 429 to 427 BCE. Early in the war, Sparta besieged the Athenian-aligned city of Plataea, which eventually fell after a prolonged siege. The destruction of Plataea was a significant blow to Athens' allies. The Plague of Athens, 430 to 426 BCE. A devastating plague struck Athens in the second year of the war, killing a large portion of the population, including Pericles, the city's leader. Plague weakened Athens militarily and politically. The Battle of Pylos, 425 BCE, an Athenian force under the command of Demosthenes achieved a significant victory at Pylos, capturing hundreds of Spartan soldiers, including 120 Spartiates, who were held as hostage. The Peace of Nicias, 421 BCE. After years of stalemate, both sides agreed to a truce known as the Peace of Nicias. However, this peace was short-lived and did not resolve the underlying tensions. The Sicilian expedition, 415 to 413 BCE, Athens launched a massive military expedition to Sicily, aiming to conquer the city of Syracuse and expand its influence in the western Mediterranean. The campaign, however, ended in disaster for Athens. The Athenian forces were decisively defeated by the Syracusans, the help of Spartan general Gylippus. The entire Athenian fleet was destroyed, and thousands of soldiers were killed or captured. This defeat severely weakened Athens and marked a turning point in the war. The Ionian or Decilian War, 413 to 404 BCE. After the Sicilian disaster, Sparta received foreign naval support from Persia, enabling it to build a fleet that could challenge Athens at sea. Many of Athens' subject states in the Aegean Sea and Ionia, encouraged by Sparta, revolted against Athenian control, further eroding its power. The Battle of Mesopotamia, 405 BCE. The decisive naval battle where the Spartan fleet, led by Lysander, defeated the Athenian navy in the Hellespont, effectively cutting off Athens' grain supply from the Black Sea. This victory led to the siege and eventual surrender of Athens in 404 BCE. Consequences of the Peloponnesian War. With the defeat of Athens, Sparta emerged as the dominant power in Greece. However, Spartan rule was harsh and unpopular, leading to widespread dissatisfaction and rebellion among the Greek city-states. Athens, once the most powerful and prosperous city-state in Greece, was left weakened and demoralized. The city lost its empire, its navy was dismantled, and its long walls were torn down. Although it remained an important cultural and intellectual center, Athens never regained its former political and military power. The prolonged war devastated the Greek economy, caused significant loss of life, and created deep social divisions within the city-states. Constant warfare drained resources and led to widespread poverty and instability. The decline of the Greek city-states, how the war weakened Greece and paved the way for Macedonian dominance. Peloponnesian War left the Greek city-states deeply divided and weakened. Sparta's harsh dominance over Greece led to further conflict, including the Corinthian War, 395 to 387 BCE, and the Theban-Spartan War, 371 to 362 BCE. These wars further fragmented the Greek world and exhausted its resources. After defeating Sparta at the Battle of Leuctra in 371 BCE, Thebes briefly rose to prominence under the leadership of Epaminondas. However, Thebes' dominance was short-lived, and the constant power struggles among the Greek city-states prevented any lasting unity. The destruction wrought by the Peloponnesian War and subsequent conflicts severely damaged the economic foundations of the Greek city-states. Trade was disrupted, agricultural lands were devastated, and populations declined due to war and plague. Constant infighting and weakening of the city-states made Greece vulnerable to external powers. This vulnerability was exploited by Philip II of Macedon, who, using both diplomacy and military force, gradually extended Macedonian influence over the Greek world. The decisive moment came at the Battle of Chaeronea, where Philip II defeated the combined forces of Athens and Thebes, effectively ending the independence of the Greek city-states. Philip's victory paved the way for the rise of his son, Alexander the Great, who would go on to create one of the largest empires in history.